Welcome back to the Emerald Knight, Part 21, Muscle Memory. In going forward with the sequence of events that I've decided to go with, such as Aranthus coming under sickness, I was a little worried about the pacing. I mean, most of this story so far has been written and taken place in the forest, and I've been a bit worried about how long the characters will stay in this forest. I mean, I'm not sure how long they are staying in this forest. Like, if one had read the book without having to pause to click on the next video or wait for me to write the next part. But I mean, it's been several weeks, so it's like it's dragging on for quite some time. And I was a little worried about that, because, especially with this being a fantasy story, there's often, if not always, a sensation of adventure and epicness involved with a with a fantasy story. But I mean, thinking about it now, it's like Lord of the Rings. I mean, Frodo didn't even leave the Shire for like 100 pages. So, I mean, it can be whatever I want it, and I can stay in this forest for as long as I deem necessary. It has its pros and cons. Of course, the pacing, we may stay in the forest for longer, and may take longer to get to different things, different settings, and various adventures, whatever. But at least at the beginning of the story, near the beginning, it gives the characters a lot of time alone together. And at least as I have written it and intend to write it, we see their personalities clash and through various ways get to understand them better. I am uncertain whether or not that's advantageous to learning more about these characters as the adventure continues, rather than staying in one place. But I do enjoy getting to understand who they are near the beginning. I mean, I may understand more or less better who they are as characters as opposed to the reader, but perhaps the reader would appreciate learning more about the characters, getting to know who they are in seemingly more mundane events, as opposed to like constant life or death situations. But I suppose it's really up to the author which path they would like to go with. Revealing character solely through adventure, or through staying in one place for a significant amount of time, or in one situation for a significant amount of time, or through both. I've concluded that it's got more to do with presentation or execution of said path the author wishes to go with. An author can write however they want, or have the plot play out however they want, but what matters is how that plot is presented. Someone like J.R.R. Tolkien chose to stay in one place for a significant amount of time to communicate culture and character, and someone like Terry Brooks chooses to dive into the meat of everything. At least based on this, I only have one novel of his, and like everything I read, it's only partway done. I'm only partway through it, but yes, he gets the pace going. Based on this one novel that I have of his, he gets the pace going rather quickly, and we learn more about the characters through the choices that they make, given those situations that they find themselves in. I have chosen to go with this illness, Aranthus succumbing to illness, merely because I felt something was missing. Something a little more was missing. Was missing. And based on how I felt one day as I was writing, I just decided to go with it. More or less a whim. Especially with how working title, this Emerald Knight story, is functioning. It's, I'm writing in sections, and I'm not planning anything out beforehand, other than, thoughts here and there that I get. Oh, that would be interesting to have happen a little later on. Maybe I'll do that. That's about the extent of which I go in planning. And as long as I keep the material engaging for me, hopefully it will rub off on readers. At least that's the hope. But yeah, I wanted to go with this thing. I debated a little while because of the pacing issue, but I wanted to go with this thing because, like I said, I just felt something was missing. I didn't want them to really just go in and out of the forest. And as I said before, it gives us a better look at their characters, especially when they are both dealing with either one's hang-ups and conflicting natures. And I do find it a little engaging or interesting to have something a little more human or relatable in a fantasy story, like being sick, instead of always having magic around every corner. While it is spectacular to have magic or battles to the death, having something a little more closer to home can, at least, I would say, gives the impression or can give the impression of feeling a little closer to these characters. But I am finding it interesting and engaging to see the multiple layers or dimensions of these characters, more than just anger or sadness, or insofar as readers understand them. The characters of each other, maybe not so much. I'm also surprised that I managed to edit this video down to 10 minutes or so, given that I had written for about 3 hours, which is what I normally do. I recall writing more than that, but at least it felt that way. But at least I have less talking to do. But anyway, with that being said, I'll see you in the next part. Thank you.